I hope I'm clear. Sorry, guys. I'm dropping stuff here. I would love to take you in. Sorry about this. I want to make sure. Ogochi, it is clear. Okay, I hope I am nice and clear. I've switched on some lights, although there's still natural lights. I just thought it might be a bit dark. Okay, I thought I'll come in. And yes, hi. Uh, Welcome back, everyone. This is Tisha Oliphant, born and bred in South Africa. And this is my corporate journey, the name of the YouTube channel, My Corporate Journey, because on this channel, I share the work life, and to be specific, my corporate life. So I've worked in corporate for close to 3 decades, and I share everything corporate. I haven't done much of those videos, but believe you me, come 2024, I'll be going back to sharing about life in a work place, and there'll be a lot that I still will be sharing. Although this year I decided, Ubonsi, my baby, to welcome Siripai, welcome honey. I decided to take a gap year after having worked for 27 years and travel. It has always been my dream. People asked why gap year. It has always been my dream. It's not, there's people who just decides to travel because they, and please like, guys, please like, do like and share and subscribe if the channel speaks to your soul. I don't want people to just subscribe, and I have a lot of subscribers, but then they don't watch content. So that's why I always emphasize with subscribe if this channel speaks to you. So there's people who decides to travel once they have a hectic experience in life. You know, there's a lady who lost her son in a car accident and sold everything and left SA to travel the world. And yeah, in my case, it was always a dream, and I was living my dream. So I'm still on a gap here. I'll see in 2024. God will tell me where He leads me. So this channel is about work life. This channel is about investments, although big disclaimer, capital letters, I'm not a certified financial planner or financial advisor. I'm merely a mother who shares her tips. And this channel is about travels. I love traveling. I've been traveling for years. I would film or videoize or take pics and keep it for my personal use. And I thought, we lose phones every day. Sometimes you forget your cloud password. Where will my lineage who comes after me see what I used to stand for if I lose the information? And I opened this channel to say, okay, let me also include the travel part. I'm not going to have separate channels because it's difficult to manage separate channels. You end up dedicating your time on one and neglecting another channel. But now, welcome if you are new, and if you've been part of this family, the way I love you more than the word love. And thank you for sharing, thank you for commenting. I see the comments and I respond to each and everyone. I like each and everyone. Thanks for liking, thank you for sharing. I truly appreciate, and that grows the channel big time. And funny enough, I was thinking, yo, Mexico, and I realized which I did put down some notes about Mexico while I was there, so that when I sit and talk to you, I can refer to some of the notes, which is so amazing. And yeah, so basically, if you're a South African citizen, uhlala eMzansi, South Africa, eSATA, you need a visa to go to Mexico. So the embassy is in Pretoria. You're gonna drive there, or first of all, you're gonna apply online, you're gonna get an appointment online, and then you drive there for documents. They'll need things like your affordability, which means your bank statements, depending on your status sakho, in terms, not the HIV status, in terms of, are you employed, do you work for someone, are you self-employed? Then, guys, when you are self-employed, they need more financials. So if you work for a company, they most probably ask for 3 months bank statements. I'm making an example. But if you are self-employed, they're gonna say give us 6, because it's hard when you are self-employed, to see ukuthi you can afford to go to their country. You're not gonna get there and end up sleeping on the streets. That's the reason. And if you are employed, they're gonna ask for your employer's letter, that confirms ukuthi you work for that particular company. And what else? You need to have your passport, because your visa goes on in the passport, and you leave the passport there for them to work on your visa. And it's normally 2 weeks, but in our case, Ungqongqo and myself applied at the same time, but she ended up not joining me, because this time around when I went, we just traveled to 4 countries, remember? And I said to her, she must pay for her own flights. I'll cover accommodation, food, activities. And Ugogo, when it comes to her money, she's like me, even worse. She said, no chance, I'm not buying it. And Mexico is far. So the flights to Mexico, Gaan and Drech it's, oh guys, I don't want to lie, but it's around 30,000. But maybe if you book far much earlier, you can get a flight that is reasonably affordable. But Central America, Mexico is in Central America, is very far from South Africa. It's over 30,000 travel time, 30,000, 30 hours travel time. The way Tandi I'll put thousands even where they are not needed. So we went to Pretoria and presented all the stuff, and they interview you like the US a visa. They ask you, where are you gonna go, which cities? So you need to prepare yourself, guys. You can't go there, you don't even know which. There's Cancun, there's your Merida, there's your Tulum. You need to know, and you need to say, I'll go to Sinote, that round hole Guyana where you dip yourself. It's a smaller Guyana swimming pool in the Pundus. They call it Sinote. So they ask you those questions because they want to make sure, Gucci, you are not trying to go and, fly by night to leave your country and settle in their country, and the affordability gives them comfort to Gucci gonna come back. And guys, if you can't afford, or you don't have enough to show on your statements, but it's important because they'll tell you what's the minimum required per day. The Schengen visa to Europe they'll quote you good for you to be able to go to Europe. This is the spending. So this amount is the amount that you'll be spending when you are in Europe, and you need to show on your statement you do have that amount for the number of days that you'll be traveling. So with Mexico as well, but I'm saying if maybe they say to you, we unsettled, it's as though you're not gonna come back, and you've got a property, show them your title deed. And guys, remember, you don't only have a title deed once you own the house fully. There's no such thing. Ask your bank to have a copy of your title deed. Even if you're still owing, you can still have a copy of a title deed. So when you go and negotiate like your business presentations where you're asking for financial capital investors, you can show that you would have got this property in Bryanston. If you're renting it out, show them this is how much you get per month, and you show the title deed with your name and your ID number. You can have copies of a title deed for all your properties. So show them that and say, why would I go and not come back to South Africa? If you've got a business, take your financials for e-business. If it's a small business, I'm sure you can have something that you can show, or pictures of people queuing next to your mobile kitchen, or your market. If it's a fruit and veg business, if it's clothing outside your garage, you can show them that. And obviously people pay you in a business account. You show those financials. Gucci, I'm running a business, I'm merely going on holiday, I'm not planning to stay in Mexico forever, so please grant me this visa. I want to go and see your beautiful country and have fun. So there's many ways to skin that cat, and they always ask, "What do you do for a living?" Because they wanna gauge, ukuthi can you afford it? Ucikizwa, hi Siri Pie, hi my child, abantwana bami laba abangilandela everywhere. The way I love you guys, the day I gather my billions, I shall bless you. It's you get a million, Cikizwa, you get a million, Monies. See, because you always show love. So in Mexico, unfortunately, you need a visa, and Mexico was the only country that I traveled to that needed a visa. I've already shared how many countries, guys. A lot. I've stayed in seven, or visited rather, or traveled to seven countries in Asia. No visa required. However, some of the countries, it's e-visa, you need to check, or visa on arrival. And those visas, you pay for them. So they're not free. Mexico, you need to go to the embassy in Pretoria, but their visa is free. Unlike our Schengen visa, where it's like around 1,000 or over 1,000 rands, a Mexican visa is free, but you need to drive to Pretoria and go for your interview and drive back if you are not in Pretoria, wherever, and drive again to go and fetch when they tell you your visa is granted. And you can check the status online. Life is easy. Most things are online. Uguchi, is it pending? Is it approved? Is it declined? Before you go back and fetch your passport. The reason I only chose one country to apply for a visa for one country, I have shared it before. I didn't want to look like someone who's trying to skip the country. So I didn't want to be a high risk traveler and raise eyebrows every time I get to immigration. I spend hours because they're trying to suss out to go to, why do I now have visas for days for all the countries? So it was only in Mexico visa. And guys, I love in Mexico. I was going to Mexico for the second time. Last year I went to Mexico around February, and I fell in love. And like I said, when I invited to this time around for her to pay for her own flight, and I was gonna sort out everything else, Nogo say, I don't play with my money, and that's Nogo for you. So she didn't join me this time around, and I solo traveled to Mexico. Mexico is known as one of no-go areas or countries. But to be honest with you guys, I traveled last year. I went to 3 cities. This year, I went to 3 cities. The same city that I went to is Cancun. I always started in Cancun. It has a vibe. It's full of life. And when I go to Mexico, remember, this is my personal journey. This is my personal experience. So I do things for personal reasons. You will have your different reasons for going to a country. I love Latino music. Wholeheartedly, I play it in my house. It just brings me life. So I go to Mexico for music more than anything. And I know people say tacos, enchiladas, and nachos. Yes, they are there, but they don't drive me crazy. My main reason is just to go and have fun and enjoy music and enjoy a nightlife. I go for that to Mexico, and I don't shy away from that. So I go for just to switch off and have fun and listen to Mexican music and dance night away to Mexican Latino music. So that's why I go to Mexico. And the people are amazing. If you love their food, you will thoroughly enjoy. And yeah, there's just so much to do. And if you're gonna most people it's either they go to Mexico City or to Cancun. I've never been to Mexico City because the media speaks like they do with the South Africa, and I'm not saying I'll never go. I always land in Cancun. Last year as well, Cancun is my starting point, and I book. They've got they call it. I forgot the name, but it's just a strip of resorts. They don't call it the beach line, but you'll find resorts in Cancun, all set on the same road. I normally book there. It is very expensive or quite expensive, but remember, it's relative. my finances are not the same as yours. You might look and say, 3,000 per night is nothing. I pay like around 7,000 per night. We are different. So it is around that amount. 3,000, others 5,000 per night, the all inclusive, the adults only will be like 9,000 per night, and depends. But once you are on that strip, you are sorted, everything is much closer. If you want to go to your Coco Bongos and have fun there, Mandalas, they've got just the script for fun and entertainment. I go for entertainment in Minalaba, and I just love Cancun. So I'll go, even if I just go one night. And what I love about Mexico is that it's not like SA, where your lounge or your bars are only for catered for abadala. The culture there is different. So people take their kids, so it's a family type of setup, and I think that's why it resonates with me, which you don't find like Puzat old men touching young kids. But I'm not saying they don't have beach clubs like those. I don't touch those because of the age, and it's something I was never fascinated about, even when I was still younger. But if you want to have fun, if you want to go with friends, Mexico is a place to be. But remember, when you get land, you gotta face immigration. They're gonna check you before you leave. Your visa is there, but they're gonna question you again as though you didn't go for appointment and interview, and then guys, it needs to be done. Unfortunately, it's a requirement, but it puts me off, especially if I'm bringing my money to your country. It really, when they take it overboard, but officials are different. I found an amazing person, and I find good if you go to a country for a second time, they sort of respect you. You become a family. Like they will always ask you, are you coming, is it the first time you're visiting Mexico or whichever country? If you say no, this I've been here before, or you see, and the way they handle the questions, the way they treat your passport. And but I've had my share, which I'll be sharing here, good see how other immigration officers handled my travels, which I don't have a problem. I guess it's their requirements, but again, they abuse their positions, and we all know that. But the guy that I found was so amazing. He ended up saying, "You don't have to be here for 10 days," because I asked for 10 days because my visa was gonna expire in 10 days. Hence, I forced to go to Mexico. I went through so much to get this visa. I can't let it expire without going, and I love Mexico anyway. So he said, instead of 10 days, I'm giving you, I think he gave me hundreds and something days until next year. And I said, unfortunately, I can't even stay that long. My visa is expiring, and that's not a plan. I'm moving around to travel the world, not only one space. So Cancun is a place to be. It's the capital. Oh, capital is Mexico City. Can't recall, but it's the capital in terms of if you wanna see the real life. It's touristy, so it's very expensive. Currency is stronger than ours, guys. Once we talk, there's America, whether Central America, South America, North America, you must know the rand will be weaker. So you'll be expected to spend more. So you need to ujime and save, but you can go. Anyone can travel with the right plan and taking time to actually, yeah. I'm laughing because I've got a point here when I say challenges in taking to the plane profile. So so from Turkey, I went to Georgia, which is not a state in the US, but we know now Georgia is borders between Asia and Europe, and South Africans don't need a visa. I've shared that to visit Georgia, and I went to Tbilisi, which is their capital city. They've got other beautiful cities. I'll go back to Georgia and try other cities. And then I had to travel to Turkey, from Georgia back to Turkey to connect to Mexico. And when I was boarding, this official profiled me, and I was not impressed because I don't know, the way he handled my passport and was trying to make sure that my visa was, genuine and whatever. So I had some drama there, but I switched him off and it was sorted. So what was nice was that I think that's my husband, the plane from Turkey goes to Mexico City first. And this was the first time I boarded a plane like that, where the plane goes to Mexico City first and you remain in the plane. You don't leave for like an hour while other people, they board and then you fly into Cancun. So it was a funny one because people were leaving a plane in Mexico City, and we stayed with few passengers for like an hour, 30 minutes or so, while we had people boarding for us. It was the first time, and it kept on showing good Mexico City. So it will confuse you, but every time you feel confused, just speak to flight attendants. They always there to clarify, because I said, guys, I'm going to Cancun, and guys, I had a drama in Georgia about going to Mexico, which I'll share. Yo, traveling a snip up and place. So I said, but I bought a ticket to go to Cancun. The plane and the information, even in the plane on the screens, will say Mexico City. And then I went to one of the flight attendants and I asked, and she said, no, you won't have to leave the plane. When we get to Mexico City, you remain in the plane. Maybe some of you have been in such planes. For me, it was the first time where you get to a destination and you remain in the plane for over 1 hour, 30 minutes, while other people in Mexico City will board the plane. And then, like a passenger, Melfiga, Maritzburg, if we are at Durban, away, you remain in Maritzburg inside the bus for like 1 hour, 30 minutes, and people who are going to board the bus from Maritzburg come in while you are inside, but the bus was coming from Joburg. So it's the similar concept like when you travel with the bus and the bus continues to Durban and you only get off in Durban. So it's got that nice stop, so you don't need to leave the plane. So it is like that. And yeah, you stay there for like 1 hour, 30 minutes before it departs. And I think there are other destinations where you don't need to be in transit, leave the actual plane to go into the airport to board another plane. You just remain in the plane. We learn. We live to learn, guys. And once you get to Cancun, and that's the starting point, unless you're going to Mexico City. Please avoid I've told you this before, airport taxis. They get to be quite expensive. Avoid your Ubers unless you've got the money, guys. We are different. I always use the Ado bus. There's a bus. In fact, it's not called Ado bus. I call it Ado bus. It's a ADO bus. Red bus. Just ask at the airport, where can I get the red bus? And you buy the tickets at the airport and you go there. It will take you, whether you're going to Cancun, whether you're going to Tulum, whether you're going to any city. So even the other cities that I travel to, I use this ADO bus. It is one of the comfortable buses with air cons inside. And I'm trying to think, they've got stops where you can, tune a station. Our parents used to say that. Or you can get refreshments if you don't have patkos. Patkos is umpago, the food that you eat along the way. And yeah, then you can charge your phone. They've got awesome facilities. I think they've equivalent to your Greyhounds, recliner seats. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And they are reasonable and they go to most cities. So instead of flying to the next city and spending much money and the admin that comes with flying, because flying is a scam. Ooh, yeah, very stressful for a lot of us. You only say, whoo, once you sit, you get to your seat. And I want to talk about a plane, which is the business behind flying. We researched it because it just doesn't make sense how this business is run. So I've got a nice story behind the flights and whatever that I'll share with you, which someone will learn a thing or two. So I took a bus to downtown, then take a taxi from downtown to your hotel. From that hotel, script lacy, Gudla Ugu. So there's a beach throughout on that strip. So most of those resorts, they facing ocean on that strip. So it is awesome if you wanna book there. But if you don't have enough, you can do your Airbnbs. But please be safe, guys. I don't want to say it's Mexico after all, because someone will say, oh, a South African saying that. But be safe in any country, you ought to be safe. Yeah, so I said many resorts are near the ocean, but they're quite expensive. It's a hotel zone. That's the name I was looking for. It's a long strip of those hotels with different resorts and different budget. Abasafufuza, abangafuni ukuspenda a lot, maybe their budget is spent on a business class and not on accommodation. And those who want 5 stars or 10-star hotels, you'll find them on that hotel zone in Cancun. And there's also a local bus. Minage, guys, I affordable like crazy. And I would like to challenge one of you also, not to tell us when we travel no money. But I would like to challenge one of you all. It's a nightmare to travel with you. You wanna save each and every cent. I can't, honestly, guys, I can't pay 500 rands for an Uber if I know there's a bus for 150. I can't. I'll make sure I wait for that bus. And for someone else, it's like, oh, time. I'm on holiday, so I've got all the time on my side. But if you are on leave, it might be different. So they've got local buses. So if you wanna go to the malls, if you wanna, take a bus to see that hotel zone, because it's a long road, and you wanna see the lagoon, you can take those buses. They written R2, like two rands, and they are reasonable. Even if you wanna go to the bus station downtown, take that bus and you can find the ADO buses downtown to be able to travel to other cities within Mexico, to avoid going back to the airport, Cancun airport, and flying and flights and this and this and that. So R2 buses is local buses. They also have colectivos in Mexico, which are equivalent to our mini buses. They are also reasonable. So if you are in any city, ask, where can I get a colectivo? But remember, in Mexico they speak Spanish, but in Cancun, because it's a touristy destination, you will find people speaking English. Even the waiters and the locals, the shops, they do speak English. Ucigizwa with hearts, I love you back. Oh, I give you that rose back. Bonsile, my baby. Pretty, you Sabi. Welcome, sweetie. Welcome. This is home. A beautiful, sweet mom. Thank you, Zondi. Thank you, sweetheart. So, guys, travel on a budget. Unless you can splash the money, you've got it. Flaunt it, darling. But if you like your mom, make sure you spend less where you can spend less. There's things where we cannot cut corners because our safety is very important. Then it's worth every, when they say cheap can be expensive, avoid that. But where you can take a 80 or bus, for instance, instead of booking. Guys, to book a taxi, airport taxi, from the airport to your hotel. You find that your hotel, most hotels are very far from the airport, 45 minutes a drive, an hour drive. Can you imagine how much is that in a taxi? Every time I land, sometimes I told you find there were countries where I didn't do my research. I learned, I search for Wi-Fi. Sometimes the Wi-Fi is look for local buses. I stayed away from airport taxes. And there was a time where I would have paid 1,300 rands if I took the airport taxi. But I took a local bus, and the local bus was 120 rands. That's how I traveled, guys. And in most countries, being like that. And I would get, sometimes I'll stay, not in most cases, I still loved my hotels, and that's where my most of my money went. But if I went to a, like a, they call it cottage, is it cottages, guys, when a B&B type of a setup, which I'm a bit not comfortable unless the reviews are okay, because some people get robbed and whatever, depending on the country and the area. So the owner will ask me, how did you get here? And when I explain to them, they're like, oh, wow. So you travel. I say, guys, I'm not a tourist. I'm a traveler. And I was a traveler for the past 7 months. So it was very important for me to save my money. The cuisine is amazing. We spoke about that. If you love tacos, enchiladas, nachos, have them until they come out of your ears, and you'll thoroughly enjoy music all around, guys. Cancun, Mexico, for me as a whole, in a vibe. You go to a supermarket, they playing their music, and they proud, like us. There was a time where our radio station played South African music. They are like that all the time. It's music. It's sometimes they even have people sitting in bars on a Tuesday, on a Monday evening. It's not like us in most cases, go to Ziwa weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's the only time where people go and have fun. In Mexico and Espanol, it's throughout. So they love partying. They love partying. It's a party destination. And yeah, I've costed the street food in Cancun because it's a tourist destination. It was, similar to ukudla kwasevilakazi, very expensive. And I found even the food in the hotel, that hotel zone that I was booked on, was quite pricey. So I used to go to a supermarket. It's a pity I didn't write the name, which is not far, and they will have a section where they made home. I ate a lot of homemade food, guys. I can't do takeaways that much, so I made sure that I have my veggies and the protein, and I stayed healthy. It's important when you travel to boost your immune system, guys, because you're changing, like the environment, the atmosphere, and I'm trying climate. So your body can take a knock. So you ought to have your shots to keep strong. I have my shots all the time in South Africa. It's always been my life. And yeah, drink your vitamins to avoid. And street food, guys, stay away from street food unless your system can handle it. Like who knows street foods all the time without issues. I'm very skeptical. I choose what I eat from the streets, because yeah, it's something else. And I think I spent about 5 nights. I know I extended in Mexico with 2 nights in this expensive space, because you saw my videos. It was an awesome environment. I enjoyed the ocean. Guys, I've just realized, which I'm always drawn to water. And yeah, and I speak to the ocean. I believe God is there. I'm always drawn to forest. This morning I was hiking, also talking to God in those bundos. I hike a lot, you know me. And it's nice now, being a stay-home mom. Angisazi upgrade, I can take being a mahlalela, then I can go hike not only on weekends but weekdays as well. But guys, if you do hike, please be safe. You saw the teacher that was, yeah, we don't talk about South African stories. So nevertheless, and after staying in Cancun for like 5 nights, I then moved on to Merida. Oh, I brought a note here. So I collect fridge magnets. When I travel, I collect you've seen my braces or bangles, whatever you want to call it, for that particular country. And I also collect their monies as a remembrance. And this is Banco of Mexico. And yeah, I collect for my loved ones as well, so they all like to show off. And I would like, I can't even say I'll frame them. I'll be inviting the boys one day, have, but it's small notes for each country. So they do have these, they've got 50s and they've got hundreds, I think, if I'm not wrong. And you know, Aibo, oh yes, it's pesos. I'm like, this is Filipino money, no. And they also have pesos. So when they talk Mexican money, it's pesos. We talk rand, Swaziland talks emalangeni, Botswana talks pula, they talk pesos. So their currency is pesos. So I brought some of the money back, guys, from other countries. And guess what? Your Western Union only takes certain currencies, even my bank. And I was sitting and I was thinking, so now I'll give this money to one of my kids if they go abroad. I must announce it. Good. If you are going abroad, but it's not big monies. I'll give you money for culture abroad, Singapore dollars. They do take them, but they charge you like crazy. So don't bring a lot of money back. I did that, but I don't regret it. If I don't get to give people, so I brought money for Costa Rica, I'll go back and I'm going to do a project which I'll share with you, so that if you want to go to Costa Rica the same way as Mua and save money, you can do it. But let me first go and come back alive. I don't share things that I haven't tested them. I've been to Mexico solo as a woman. I came back in one piece. Last time I went with my daughter, two ladies, black ladies, went to Mexico. We came back alive. So it's safe, but just make sure you are aware of your surroundings. You don't take, hitchhike. No, you don't mess with that. If you take a taxi, it is a registered taxi. You'll be safe. And don't, you can, yeah, you can be there at night. There was a time where I was there around 12 midnight. But my hotel, guys, I only go to the same hotel because of safety. I can walk back. So just make sure you are safe, safe, safe. And in Georgia, I will be out, after eating by dinner around 11, and those are the countries where Georgia is one of those where I felt safe, safe, safe. And I've got countries where I really, really felt safe. Others I had to, check how you would even check when you are here at home, because you cannot just be trusting. And then from Cancun, I went to Merida. Oh, guys, I was convinced I'll come back, sell my house, sell everything, and go retire in Merida. That's how much I enjoyed that country in Merida. So I went to Merida. It's under Yucatan State. So they not called Mexican. They say they Yucatan, and the guys there of males are so short. So if you like tall, dark, and handsome, and you're still looking for love, yeah, go to Merida for fun. Don't say I'll find love in Merida. Some people say, no, she likes to say, oh, my man is in Spain. So don't say your man is in Merida if you want a tall, dark, and handsome. They are very short, very short. So I was there for 10 days. Guys, I couldn't leave that state. The state is Yucatan. Merida is the city. Oh, I loved it. It is packed. They've got a population galore, busy, not like your Georgia where you can breathe. It gives me like the Bangkok vibes. Omunye phezu komunye. People on top of each other, but I thoroughly loved it. It's got awesome colonial structures. If you love architecture, looking at the buildings and admiring the pillars and the paintings and the detail, the art, you're gonna love it. I love such, so I enjoyed it. It's cottage look. So you saw the video that I did, the live. I was in one of the cottage, the setup of their hotels. I was in your usual look hotels, which I really enjoyed. And I also like the fact that There's transportation galore, and the transport is not expensive. And if you use their Uber equivalent, which I didn't get the name because the hotel booked for me. And guys, if you're stuck, please always ask hotel staff, or if you want to go for an activity. And of course, unfortunately, they work hand in hand with these service providers. But if you tell them what's not expensive, because they get a percent. Yes, guys, they're in partnership. And if you don't want to maybe search and research, ask them. They'll book a taxi, which is much more reasonable and much more safe, and it will take you wherever. So I went to their museum. What I liked about Merida is most, excuse me, activities are free. You know, they've got a walk in the mornings where if you are a tourist or a traveler, you gather with other people, but it's a walk. And the person tells you, know, like a guided walk, but you're walking. So you need comfortable shoes, your hats, guys, your skin protector, sunscreen, and your glasses, and you walk, and they tell you this is a museum, and everything is Merida is in one center. So it's nice. They'll tell you the history if you are a person who always likes to know what happens in that country. You know, why are they black people there, you know, slave, and they give you all the history. They tell you how where most of them come from, which year and whatever. But in Merida, I didn't have that. And what I enjoyed was, what I love the most about Mexico as well, is that it's predominantly Catholic in religion. So I can go to church. Oh, I've been to so many churches. And that's why when things were like a bit challenging, and every time I saw God's hand chipping in to solve my problem, I would say, "I, Baba, no wonder you are here. I came to your house almost all the time, unless if I was traveling. I tried not to miss church, and I've been to so many churches, and I'm gonna do something to share that as well. So they've got beautiful palace, free to go in, where else other countries you pay like your $20, you know, equivalent US dollars, which is quite a bit, your 10 US dollars, you pay. So take advantage of free activities when you travel, unless you've budgeted for other activities which cost money. And the food was awesome in Merida. I tried even the you know, fried rice, and what I picked up is with each and every country, and I'm gonna share that. There'll be yo, guys, exaggerated thing. I don't know how to explain this, but can I give you an example? Like in Bali, every second shop is a tattoo shop. So Merida had something similar. So there's countries where I'll share goods. In this country, Mo, it was this galore. So Merida, yeah, they were big on something. And sometimes I'll stand and say, why is this country full of this so crazily? So what else did I have? Yeah, and they've got, and I took, you know, you to understand the country better, you can take, I'm looking for something, guys, and I can't move here. You can take that red bus, the Cape Town bus or Joburg bus, to tour around the city. I took one of those, but they are red bus. And I'm sure they don't call it red. The tourist bus is in Spanish, so avoid that. They do have a smaller Nyana one, which is a tiny mini bus, and that one has, guys, Marita scam. They say it's in English. No, 80% is still in Spanish, but they hoy a bit of English. And you're like, why did they say that it's in English? But it's not Spanish 100% like the other tourist red bus. So when you go, you need to ask, is the tourist bus, the tours around the city, in English? Especially if you are in Central America, because remember, it's Spanish all the way. And unless there's countries that, which I think is only a few, that is speaks English. And oh, I wrote here, I did it challenge, you know, my nails, guys, for 100 pesos, which I thought it was very reasonable, and I can't convert it now because I didn't look at the exchange rate, but they only lasted for 1 week. But I came back to South Africa and I did Gelish for like how much was my Gelish? 250 or 300 rands, and it didn't even last a week. 2 days it was cheap. This one is now cheap. It's fine. It's week 2. I understand. I'll go and sort it out. And what I loved about these Central American countries, especially Merida, guys, they are family orientated. Unlike, and I'm not saying everyone, some families in South Africa where a man goes and pulls out with friends on weekends. What I found in Merida is that weekends are family days. So they'll close off like the roads, and there'll be bikes, and those three-wheel bikes where the whole family can sit, mother, like wife, husband, and kids. And they'll have activities for kids. Guys, I'll share highlights of what took place when I was in Mexico. But just the highlights. I won't do like a long video because it's a lot. You'll get bored, honestly. So it will be. So yeah, I picked up Gucci. Central America, if you go there to find a man, good luck. Those men are already taken. They are family men. They busy with their children, and it is heartwarming. So no man goes and have fun with friends. Of course, they do have friends, but just like in Turkey, the weekends are about sitting in with balcony and having food as a family, and the family comes together. So I love that, and I wish one day we will adopt that. Some families still does that in SA, where it's a bring and buy, or the sisters and their husbands go to their in-laws homes, or in-laws homes, or their mothers' homes, and with their kids and all that. But most men, they rather spend weekends with their friends drinking instead of spending their time with their children, building them, molding them, and yeah, showing them the way of life. Yeah, I did say I love the city so much. I wanted to stay even longer. I can retire in Merida. It's laid back. Yeah, and I spoke about that tourist pass. And from Merida, I went to, funny enough, I didn't add that city. So I did 3 cities. I went to Velido. I think they call it that, Valladolid in Mexican or Spanish language rather. And I stayed there for like 3 nights, and there it was a homestay. So I booked in someone's house, and they had a kitchen where I could cook and I could meet other people who were traveling, and just to have, few minutes having breakfast. So breakfast was included with accommodation, but we were served with breakfast. So I had time to chat and speak to, and some of the people of the one couple, they was from France, and I was in France last year for my birthday. So they asked me where I was, and they said, please come back and visit us next time you go back to France. So if you travel solo like myself and you feel the need to mingle, try the homestays as well, because there you'll find good, there's a shared kitchen, or they cook for you, and it's also nice. You get to taste the genuine, authentic, local cuisine, not the you'll find in a Argentinian restaurant in South Africa. If you are in South Africa and you want to taste the real South African cuisine, you ought to come to Tisha Oliphant's house for me to cook for you a hard body, the muhodu, our 7 colors, But if you go to a restaurant, you'll find good, you'll get a pizza, and of course there are places where they sell these African food or South African food. But if you want boerewors, kom hier so man. Kom keer so excel would sell the Primark. So I did that. So if I wanted authentic cuisine, I'll do a homestay. I'll get the owner of the house to cook for me and spend time to understand their culture, their, mostly religion. I've said Catholic, pray with them. So it was so nice. So when you travel, think of that. And the best way, if you can do hostels, is to go to hostels, because I mean, in terms of meeting like-minded souls, people who travel like you, is in hostels. And you can share notes, which country have you been, and you can also host them and encourage them to come to South Africa and host them. And when you go to their countries, you keep the contacts, and they will definitely host you. So there's a way to mingle and still socialize, even if you are traveling solo. Funny enough, I'm so comfortable in my own skin. My kids always say I'm a socialite, but especially no struggles to go with me, but she's my handbag. She's always with me and complains, oh, bah, you're such a socialite, and people love you, and you talk, and you meet someone, they fall in love, now they want to befriend you. But I've just realized, good, as much as I'm a people's person, guys, I love my space. I love my space. And I struggle with relationships because guys, I'm so bad. I'll work on it next year. Every year I say that. I don't follow up that much because I'll make excuses. I'd rather be by myself doing my own thing than meeting my friends. And yes, once I'm with you, I don't want to let go. So I don't know. I've always been like that. Yeah, I'm extreme. Loving and also loving my own space. So I never I met people who said, oh, you're traveling solo, so don't you find it boring? Guys, I never get bored. Even if I were to travel 3 years on my own, I promise you, I enjoy my me time, and there's never a time where I say I hunger for conversations. And yet when I'm with people, I learn from them, and I enjoy different conversations. Yeah, and the latest conversations, people who know things that I don't know, and I'll be curious to sit and listen. However, but I won't just book a hostel just to go and meet someone. But and funny enough, whenever I'll go to a park, because I went to parks and read my books, I went to a lot of coffee shops when I was in Guatemala. For someone who was not a coffee person, they had the best coffee ever. I became a coffee person, and it stopped there, because I always try and fight the addiction. I don't like things that controls me. Hence, I haven't drank Coke for almost 1 year. Joy, like when I'm addicted to you, I need to show you I have self-control. So funny enough, when I went to these coffee shops by myself, to a park, still solo, people will just come and say, can I sit with you? And we'll have their conversations. And yeah, I never felt lonely while traveling solo. Never. And I never had an instance. There's people who say, this is my first solo travel, and I'm locking myself up because I'm scared to go outside. But because I'm an extrovert, I'm an outgoing person. But if you're an introvert, guys, I always say, start baby steps locally in one province or a different city within your province. Travel solo and see if it works for you before you do it abroad, because the last thing you want is to catch a flight, spend the money, get visas, pack and buy stuff, because it's costly to travel, and then you get there, all you want to do is to just hide your face and lock yourself in a hotel room because you are not free to travel. I did it for 7 months. But guys, I always say, things that you think you might not be able to do, just do them, and you'll know. You'll be shocked. You'll think to yourself, I never thought I'll sit and have a solo dinner. But try one time and go to a solo dinner. As married as you are with kids, leave them home, cook for them and go. You'll be surprised how much you love those, and you start scheduling one every 3 months or every month, just to, pull yourself towards yourself and gather your thoughts and plan better for your kids and your loved ones. Get more. I see you guys, and thanks for liking. I truly enjoy having you here. And I think that's about it. And I spent only 3 nights there in Valladolid. So Mexico is big, so there are many cities. You can research and choose a city that resonates with your soul. And I went to one of, they say it's the eighth wonder of the world, Chichen Itza. I've got photos, and that was quite expensive because there's an entrance fee, there's money, but I took a collectivo, which I saved a lot, the local taxi to get to that place. But I think the entrance was over 1,000. There were activities that I was willing to pay if they spoke to my soul, a bit for them. But other activities I would do my own thing, and I avoided going to museum in Mexico, museum in Guatemala, museum in Turkey. So I'll try and say, okay, in this country I'll focus on food, although I had food everywhere. In this country I'll try their cenote. Like in Mexico, you don't want to go to Mexico and not go for a cenote for a swim, a nice cenote, beautiful photos for your Instagram. And it's such a beautiful country. And when I was in Bella Pelido, they had, and I'm saying it so wrong, Mexicans are going to come here and say, if you don't say it like that, it's fine, I'm South African. They had the Viva Mexico, so their Independence Day, and there was festivities, so there was party at night, and I attended that party. I was safe. I think the party started a bit around 8, but I only went out of this homestead, or B&B, someone's house that has been converted into a bed and breakfast. I went out from the around 9:30, and I spent like an hour at the party. They had big speakers, they had cops, police all over. The community was dancing, the kids were there, they were dressed up. I even bought my Mexican t-shirt, Viva Mexico 2023. I was part of that. And then the next morning I traveled out of Mexico, or Mexico in Espanol, to go to Guatemala. So that was Mexico. You can go solo, you can go as a family, you're gonna love it. And just know the rent is slightly lower than their pesos, so do budget, and you should be fine. But if you've got your own mullahs that old money, you are sorted, you can go. And I wouldn't say, of course, everywhere there are danger zones, but you ought to be careful and just don't. I wouldn't walk at night as a woman around 11 by myself when the place is not well littered, and there's no lights when I say littered. And just on my phone. Same concept applies. You won't do it here in South Africa, why would you do it abroad? So take care of yourself, but go and have fun. You deserve it. So thank you so much, guys, and thanks for listening. And I'm sure you've picked up ways, or if you'd love to go to, and Mexico is beautiful. It is beautiful, but that ocean there will leave you stunned. They've got also the wild, not wildlife per se, but if you want mountains, there's mountains. So you choose what exactly you wanna go there for. So yeah, go and have fun, and please come back and share with me from the time you apply for your visa. And if you've been to Mexico, please drop on the comment section and tell me where in Mexico did you go, and what was your experience, and what can you share with this family. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and stay in this beautiful home. Love you guys, and God bless. So I'll drop the highlights of my trip in Mexico. Highlights, guys, because I was there for over 3 weeks. Yeah, I stayed in Mexico as a whole for over 3 weeks. So it was a long time, but I had it fun. Yeah, I was left with, I said 10 days. It was, in fact, over 3 weeks that was left for me before my visa expired. Now my visa is expired. I must apply for another visa if I want to go to Mexico next year. And definitely, I'm sure I will go. I'm hooked. I love it. It is such a chilled country. Funny to say that. But God bless you, and good night. Keep well, darlings, until we meet and talk about Guatemala. Guatemala. I think I had a video that I took when I was at the park to tell you about what Guatemala is all about. So I think that won't be live. I'll give you that video in terms of cost, what to do when you're in Guatemala, and then I'll give you the highlights. And there's another video that explains why I went to Guatemala, and I think you will love it. And next time you plan your trip to go to Guatemala, you'll do exactly what I went to Guatemala for, because it's so interesting. And good night and God bless.